especially from Robin. I think a lot of people, myself included, underestimated how good at just TFT overall Robin is, and I feel like I got a lot more insight into like why his results are so good. Despite him coming across as a fairly like simplistic sort of player, nothing too flashy.
Yeah.
But I feel like I have after watching him a shit ton over at EWC and watching him do really consistently and really well, I feel like I have a lot more insight now as to like why he's so good. Which is also like
was the most surprising to you that you weren't aware of before?
There are a couple of things. One, which is a little less interesting, is the guy probably is the least. He probably tilts the least out of any player I've ever seen. Like I'd be sitting there watching him low roll out of his mind, and he just has no reaction. He immediately just shifts into playing for his fifth, his sixth, his fourth, like 0 copies of whatever he's finding, rolling down on level 8 for Yuumi, like 60 gold, hits 0 of them, rolling down for his 2-cost reroll, 0 copies on 3-2, completely unfazed, and immediately is just shifting to playing for the next placement and is able to squeeze out whatever he's playing for, like regardless of how insanely shit his rolls are, his spot has become, circumstances. Like he's just instantly able to shift the mindset, which is like from being in those spots myself, from seeing other streamers play those spots, seeing the other teammates, like it's just actually unreal how solid his mindset is in that regard. That's one. The other thing is I feel like his line selection on 2-1 is actually superior to most people, at least the people on the team and myself as well. One major thing I picked up on was his augment selection, and he'd often select, and I've started to do this as well, and I feel like it's helping me. I mean, so far my scores have been really good on the new set. I'm highest on the team from the 5 of us that are at Bootcamp now. I have the highest LP, so maybe I'm learning more from them than they are from me as coach. But yeah, one thing he which I never truly like internalized in this way is I had always tried to play around sort of the best augment that I would get on 2-1 and sort of use that as like one of my more like the thing that I would sort of have my gameplay, my game plan sort of hinge around, especially when it's like a gold or a prismatic augment. And he was very regularly verbalizing as we would like discuss our lines and do VOD review. He would take super mid augments on 2-1 very often, because he would already be in some spot where he was really incentivized to play a specific line. For example, he had a really good opener already based on his units and his items to play Sorks, for example, in the meta for 4v4 that was popular, or Yuumi. He would forego like S tier augments all the time on 2-1, because those S tier augments would just potentially pull him down a route that was not the line he already was meant to play in his mind. And so he would take mid things like I'm trying to think of very specific examples. Over encumbered, maybe just like really mid augments, but like he was like, or you have my sword or stuff like that, just because they guaranteed that he could play the line he wanted to play.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then that to me is very enlightening, because I had always been like, oh, you must take like your S tier augment, or if you have a tier list of augments, or like you're gifted, whatever you view as like one of the best augments in the game on 2-1. Destiny, for example, like Gold Destiny at the time before it was nerfed. And yeah, from him doing that, it just looked like he was never letting himself sway from what is already a very good game plan, and so his results are just so consistent. Like, there's no reason for it. And it will also transfer over to his augment selections on 3-2 and 4-2. He's willing to take mid augments, assuming he had good reason to believe and to commit to whatever line he already has sort of in his pocket.
Interesting.
And so just another like variable that I'm trying to consider more so now is like the weight with which I'm putting augment strength individually versus like the line that you have, and trying to weigh those against each other, as opposed to just blindly being like, this is my best augment, I must take this kind of thing on 2-1, 3-2, 4-2.
What percentage of the time do you think Robin has already committed to a single line at 2, like before augment has come up on 2-1?
Percentage of the, probably I would say like 40%, but like a lot of the times it really makes sense. If I started to think about it as well, like why one would be so down to commit to a line on 2-1, right? The first thing being like how committal your items are, but second, especially when reroll is popular, which right now it's like I would say it's like it's not super reroll heavy this current patch. The patch before was a little more so, but even when reroll is like not super reroll heavy, like if there are units you really want to play around, for example, you have power up already on a 2-cost unit that um that uh is like a good unit to play around as your carry. Let's say you're over 9,000 cat, over 9,000 Kaiser, things like that. I was thinking about it and just looking at like how much gold having a copy of a unit like represents. So if you are to start with, let's say you want to play Kaisa, ignore like perma stacking, just let's say you want to play a specific 2-cost unit and you're going into your 3-2 with 0 copies, or even with n number of copies. How much gold does it cost for you to find the next copy?
Like,
and it's like it's around 12-ish usually on 3-2. It's like around somewhere between 10 and 14 gold to find your next copy. And if you start the game with 1 additional copy already, that's equivalent to starting the game with plus 12 gold, right? Plus 10 gold. And if you think about that's more than a silver augment, right? If you start the game with plus 12 gold, a silver augment is placebo. It is like 7 gold, right?
Right.
There are almost no silver augments that give you plus 12 gold. So choosing to commit to a line from having 1 copy of a unit, assuming your items are good, is enabling you to play the game plus more than a silver augment in the whole lobby. And it makes a lot of sense when you think of it from that perspective, because now why would you ever skip a gold tier augment to play another line when you're already gifted basically a more than a silver augment by having the unit on 2-1?
Right. It's like having a better version of Destiny.
Yeah, exactly. If you choose to play from having that copy. And so it's just a matter of like understanding the value of augments versus units versus versus lines. Obviously, if you're given a prismatic augment, usually you'll value that more than having 1 copy, depending on like. But you can also put a value on if you have a copy of a unit and you have BIS item. Let's say you have Kaisa and IE. What is that? What is the gold equivalent of that, or what is the augment equivalent of that? And putting a value on that in a very specific way allows you to make more informed decisions versus just, I hit expected unexpectedness. This is an S tier augment. I must click this. Versus you have something that is like super committal to Kaisa that is very easy to, like Radiant Relics, for example, which right now is super busted in the current meta, or Radiant Refactor even more so, but that's 3-2, 4-2. Yeah, there's something that I feel like was pretty eye-opening to me, that Robin I feel like did really, really well most of the games I saw.
And so along those lines, he would probably value Destiny less than other players would.
A little less, yeah. There were games where he took it, and then his hindsight was that I should not have taken this. Even though, because we were all like making our tier list, and he's also really, really good at learning from previous games he had. I feel like he was one of the players that, because I'd watch all of them every day, all day play, and we'd all like have takeaways and whatnot. And the guy, for someone who like plays off his persona as being like very simplistic and like kind of, he almost like intentionally dumps down the way he speaks in some ways. He is really good at learning and not making the same mistake over and over. And so there were games where I think I recall it was maybe he's trying to play into Cassante, but he took Prismatic Destiny when he ultimately his takeaway was that he should have taken Upward Mobility and just played into exactly the same reasoning that we had already, where it was that he already had such a good reason to play towards open into Cassante all out. And instead he clicked Prismatic Destiny, and it gave him something that was not open for it. And he opened anyway with it, but his game plan ended up being really odd, as opposed to just like it was such a clear game plan already. And his takeaway was that he should have just taken Upward Mobility and skipped Prismatic Destiny. But he's also like not down to never take that. Like if there are definitely spots where you don't have the direction yet or a good line, and when your line is not high value, that's when you do value. Things like Prismatic Destiny, your Wandering Trainers, stuff like.
Oh, did you cut out, or you still there?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. What do you think makes Robin so good compared to other people at learning from previous games? Like, does he have some type of heuristic that's different than how you approach it or how other people approach it? Like, what specifically?
I feel like he comes across as very I don't know if humble is the right way to put it, but like he this will come across as self-glazing in some ways, but he reminds me of me in that he doesn't hold his like opinions on lines, on decisions, on augments at like super high regard. Like it seems like if he is able to hear some argument or discover something that goes against what people consider as like S tier or whatever, he just immediately is able to go. He's immediately able to reason through and just be like, oh, okay, this new argument that I have in mind now makes sense, and so I'm gonna forego whatever I had thought previously and just use the logic of what's right in front of me and what I just decided. Whereas I feel like it's not uncommon for players at every level, especially even at high level, maybe even more so at high level, to have so much conviction that it's on some decision, on some augment, on some line, some thing being broken, that you don't let sort of proper reasoning sway you in a way that it should. Whereas I feel like Robin is very humble with his like his reasoning. The guy's like second guessing himself all the time. Like we'll literally just be on the plane and be like, you know what? I actually thought that I should have done this and not that. Or you know what? I feel like this item isn't even that good on X unit. Or like he just the entire day he's just nonstop questioning things about the game. I think maybe it is even more so on display because we're all playing in a tournament. I'm sure we're all really, really locked in and nonstop 24/7 thinking about the game. But he's definitely down to just not take any sort of anything for granted, I guess, in that regard, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.